Karen tries to enslave me and my wife, but the joke's on her. She thought I wasn't a citizen. Basically, my wife and I just immigrated back to the US and needed jobs and a place to stay. We thought we'd struck gold when a fabulously wealthy woman hired myself as a groundskeeper and maintenance guy, and my wife was a cook and a maid for her elderly parents. The pay was low, but part of it involved being able to live rent-free in the second house on the estate. The elderly couple were extremely senile, but still the sweetest old folks you could imagine. It was a really nice property, so for a few months everything was great. Then, about 3 months in, my wife noticed the pantry, which was itself bigger than our living room, was not being restocked by the grocery delivery company that normally did these things. We contacted our employer, who flew into a rage mode that managing that sort of thing was our responsibility, so she had canceled the delivery service without telling us. It became apparent that she fully expected us to notice and take care of it ourselves. When I asked her, how did she expect us to buy the groceries, she did not even tell us that she canceled the service. She became extremely irate. Direct quote from her mouth. "Then why the duck do I sign a check to you each and every week for?" Yeah, this chick earnestly thought we should be using our personal paychecks, which were not very big, to pay for her parents' upkeep. After much deliberation, she grudgingly left us a credit card to go out and buy groceries for her parents, which added to our workload at no extra pay, but we did not have anywhere else to stay and no other job lined up, so we had to deal with it. Well, another few months go by and she contacts us again. She wants us to sign something. The paperwork shows up and a request for medical documentation from an insurance company. This chick wants us to attach our timesheets to it, sign it, and send back to the insurance company. Well, I read it, and it becomes apparent she has elder care insurance to pay for live-in nursing services and has told them we are nurses, so she can try to get them to pay our wages. I contact her and inform her that we have not provided medical care and we're not licensed to, and will not fill out the paperwork. Cue mother of all shitstorms. Karen goes nuts, screaming into the phone about how much she's done for us and we owe her this. How she'll report that we're neglecting her parents and then call immigration on us and have us deported. I don't think she even realized I'm a citizen and my wife immigrated legally. I tell her that what she's asking for us to do is simply fraud, and that I'd rather get fired than arrested for a felony. I tell her she has 90 days to find a replacement for us and we will be moving out. Things devolve into her screaming about how much money she has and how she's besties with police, and does have a bunch of expensive lawyers to sue me with. I suggest she ask one of those lawyers how they feel about defending her for insurance fraud, and hang up. My wife and I continue our services for the old folks while actively looking for a new place of work. Because, well, they were actually super nice and the situation was not their fault. They were also very senile, mistaking us for other people that they knew, forgetting they had children, etc. So they can't be held accountable for their daughter's behavior as they lack any ability to intervene. Then, instead of a paycheck, I get a bill for the last 8 months of rent, and a note that she's not paying our wages until we, quote, pay her back for everything we owe her, plus interest. She had valued the rent of the second house provided in our contract at more than she paid us monthly, so essentially we'd never actually be able to pay it off. Yeah, this chick actually tried to make us into indentured servants. So, without responding, I continue performing my duties, studiously keeping logs on our hours and retaining all the receipts for how much we owed her. 90 days go by without a paycheck. We purchased groceries using the card she provided, which she added to our debts, which documented everything. About a week before the 90 days, we contacted 2 government agencies. First, the State Department of Labor to report exploitation. Second, Adult Protective Services to inform them that an elderly couple that requires caretaking are going to no longer have caretakers and their daughter has refused to provide it. Then we call her and inform her she's going to be receiving some phone calls from these agencies shortly and should probably contact her attorney. There was about a 60-second dead silence on the phone, then hysterical laughter and she hung up. Okay, not the response I expected, but duck it. One more week and we're gone. 8 hours later, she shows up in the driveway in a rental car. This chick bought a one-way plane ticket to come out states and report us to the cops for trespassing on property. This, of course, does not work because we have a tenancy contract, and if she wants us gone, she has to utilize the legal eviction process. She then tries to claim that we are illegal aliens, which a quick glance in our wallets at our IDs by the cops proves false. She started to shriek at them about if they know who she is or how expensive her lawyers are. The cops look that unique combination of irritated and amused. That cops dealing with some dumb stuff they aren't allowed to comment on, get and advise her not to talk to us or attempt to enter or go near the guest house. Well, she moves into their house that night and presumably takes over the duties. I would go out on the balcony every day for the week before I left to drink my coffee. I smile as I stare across the big, luxurious lawn to see her standing in the picture window, arms crossed, glaring death at me. To make a long story short, the expensive lawyers she has convinced her to pay our back wages with, additional interest for violating state labor laws by withholding them. Turns out, trying to enforce actual slavery is still illegal after all. Man, that was a crazy Karen story. Let's read a comment that had a little back and forth with OP replying one time. Thank you for telling your story. Not everyone knows their rights. Your story proves that having money and being a bully doesn't always work. My hope is that someone reading this will realize it should not work in their lives either. OP replied and said, and always keep that paperwork. Then the final reply was by this person named Beyblader02 who said, Life Lessons 101. OP agreed and said, yes, read the paperwork. Guys, let me know your thoughts on this story. I would love to hear it, so drop your comments down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, just know, sometimes updates come out for these stories, and we do updates later on. So make sure you don't miss those by subscribing and turning on bell notifications. Okay, the final story of the day is an Am I the A-hole drama. Am I the a-hole for taking mother-in-law's fiance's threat to sue us seriously and wanted him banned from family events? I recently got engaged to my boyfriend 4 years. We're beyond excited and his mom's always been a nightmare. But I'm not worried about it as he handles her. She got engaged a few months before we did to Chris. I somewhat know Chris as his ex-wife is one of my mom's best friends. I know that just through their friendship that Chris never paid child support. They split when their son was 12 and he never gave her a dime, despite making very good money. Due to this, I've never respected Chris, but he has gotten worse in the past year due to an issue between him and my fiancé. When we got engaged, I was showing everyone my ring, and he loudly asked mother-in-law what she would have said if he proposed with that ring. She gave him a look, but he kept going and was laughing about how she would have just walked out. Yeah, hers is much bigger and probably a real diamond where mine's a lab diamond, which is what I wanted. I announced that Chris maybe should not spend so much on a ring when he must owe his ex a crap ton in unpaid child support. And don't men go to jail for that? He looked mortified, and obviously the family was curious. Mother-in-law snapped at me and they left. I thought it was over, but Chris's ex called me and chewed me out. She said she did not want child support because she can take care of her own child. And she believes men have rights as well, and Chris has begged her to abort. She was really rude about it and hung up on me. Again, I thought it was over, but Chris sent me a message that if I opened my stupid mouth again, he would sue for defamation. I took this very seriously, as he is a lawyer. I told everyone I cannot be around Chris. I won't be going to their wedding, he cannot come to ours, and I will not attend family events if he's there. Most of the family took my side and said they would stop inviting Christopher. Now, this is blown up until mother-in-law saying she'll never speak to any of us again. And GFIL is backing her. The family is absolute turmoil, and mother-in-law's threatening to disown her son if he doesn't say, Chris can come to our wedding. Okay, so the number one comment was this. Not the a-hole, I would send Chris a letter in terms that he, as a lawyer, can understand. Explain to him that since he has voiced a condition onto which he would proceed with a civil lawsuit, it would only be responsible of you to take action to limit your exposure to triggering that suit. This is simply a liability limiting action, and that there is a no loss on his behalf due to there being no entitlement to the general public of attendance to this private event. Also, it's not defamation if OP calls out the truth, not the a-hole, and I rest my case. Guys, let me know, do you agree with that thought? Drop it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as it seriously helps support the channel, and I much appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow, guys.